So, it's been an interesting day already. I've only been up for maybe an hour. And I woke up because someone was trying to get into my room. Yeah, it was a fun experience hearing thunk, thunk, thunk as somebody's trying to open my door, and my door is locked, so it's not opening, and so it's making a smack, smack, thunk, thunk noise. And it's like, do you need to try that many times to get into the wrong room? Like, it's kind of, it gets to the point where it's kind of hard to believe that they forgot which room they're going into, or they're so tired, or they just woke up and they don't know what room, when they're repeatedly trying to get into a locked room. You know what I mean? And it wasn't even, sorry, I'm moving the camera, and it wasn't even like it was a quiet thing either. There was people outside my door talking, and they were sitting there opening and thunking, trying to open and thunk the door, and I'm just like, I wake up and I'm like half asleep going, why are you trying to get into my room? There's obviously, the door is locked, otherwise you would have been able to get in, so why are you trying to get in? Freak out moment. Yeah, I messaged a friend, and he's just like, that's weird. Like, if it happens again, talk to your CA. And I'm just like, okay. No, I am not one to deal with that stuff. I don't want to deal with it. So it's Sunday, the day everybody comes back to campus because classes are next week, and I don't really know if they're Monday or not, because Monday is Washington's birthday, and I think that's I can't remember if it's a national holiday or not. I know, bad American, but you know what? I study specifically European history, so I don't care. I don't really care about American history. We learned it in high school, and it's a lie anyway, the stuff we learned in high school. Yeah, everybody's coming back today. There's a lot of people in and out of the dorms. There's my roommate she said to me that she's coming back today. She doesn't know when, and her ride is not a long one. It is a 4-hour drive down here from where she lives. She lives up all the way up in Aroostook County, and that is how you pronounce it for you non-Mainers. It's Aroostook, not Aroostook. One thing that bothers me about stuff like either TV shows or movies or people in general who aren't from Maine, instead of asking how to pronounce places in Maine, like, for example, there was a TV show a while back called Dead Zone. It was based off of a book of Stephen King's, and it was placed in Maine, like almost all of his books are, and they kept mispronouncing the words, the names of places, all the time. Every time they said a name, they didn't say the name right. And it's a TV show, so it's like make-believe world, like that. But at the same time, you're using real names of places in a real state, in a real place. So take the extra time to learn how the native people properly pronounce the area, the places that they're from, because I personally would want to be corrected if I got a name wrong. Like, if I went to a different state and said something wrong, I would like to be corrected. I don't want to say someone's home wrong, because it's their home. I mean, like, I live like 45 minutes from Bangor, and a lot of people who are not from this state call it Bangor, but it's not. It's Bangor. It's Bangor, Bangor. And so a lot of people think that Mainers pronounce it banger, and we don't. They other thing that bothers me about non-Mainers pretending to be Mainers is the accent that they use. Is very much a southern Maine accent, and they assume that all Mainers have that accent, and we don't. I live on the coast. I live on coastal Maine, and a lot of coastal Mainers have that accent. That's true. That is very true. That a lot of us have that. We drop our R's, and we it tends to be a bit thick. But I don't think have that accent, except for at least you don't really hear it much unless I say certain words. But it's common assumption that everyone in Maine talks a certain way. But, I mean, that assumption is kind of like going to the UK and assuming that everyone speaks with an English accent. It is. It's just as insulting as that, as saying, going to the UK and saying everybody in the UK speaks with the English accent. Well, no. The UK also entails Ireland, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. And going in there and saying you all sound like you're from England is rude and annoying. And it's the same for Mainers, kind of. Like, you can't. And I would think it's probably the same anywhere. You just don't walk into a place and say, oh, you all sound like you're from this place. And everybody's just like, no, we don't. And it's the same for here, making the assumption that, all Mainers sound like the stereotypical Mainer that you hear. It's not true. I mean, I have a friend who lives up like I said, up in the Aroostook County, which is the top of Maine, closest to Canada, and they don't sound like that up there. They sound more with a Canadian-ish almost accent. Not quite, but almost more than they do speak with a stereotypical Maine accent. And not all Mainers are like hillbilly hicks that everybody likes to think. Like, there's this weird stereotype that all Mainers are just like camo and plaid and all of this fleece and stuff. Well, I mean, a lot of us do have that stuff because it's cold. It is really cold up here, and hunting is a thing, so camo is a thing, but like, I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of saying, don't stereotype an entire group of people just because you assume that that's what everything is, and and try not to pronounce people's homes wrong. Like, I live in Searsport. It's like the store Sears, but it's a port. It's right near Sears Island. So, I mean, that island is interesting. It's basically no one lives on it, but it's a mile. You walk a mile, the whole island. Like, there's a road that you literally can walk to the island with. It's a mile long. But, like, anyway, that's not the point I was making. What was I talking about? Basically, just don't be afraid to ask people where they're from and how they pronounce that, because, like, we appreciate it, really do. And in college, it's more of a thing than it is in high school. Like, people talk to each other a lot and ask each other, where are you from? And they'll say it, and sometimes a lot of people will ask them to say it again because they're just like, I've never heard of that, like, so that is very much a thing. What else was I talking about? Yeah, so we're kind of gonna get real for a second here. It's a really serious thing, because I'm referring back to someone trying to get into my room. Assault on campus is a thing. A lot of schools try to say that it's not a major problem or that it's something that doesn't happen, and that's a lie, or at least an extreme understatement. I personally know several people that attacks have happened to, and they didn't know not to report it to the campus police. They reported it to them, and nothing was done. Because the campus's first and foremost job, or concern rather, is to make themselves look good so other people come here. So you don't really talk about excuse me, they don't really talk about the attacks that happen on campus, if they do happen. We've had a couple, and I know several people that have had it happen, and because they talked to the campus police, nothing was done. I was fortunate. I had a parent who told me, God forbid this happen to you, but if it does, do not call the campus police. Call the actual town law enforcement, because they will do something. They will arrest this person. They will do the necessary things that need to be done in order for this person to go to jail. Whereas campus police, they won't do anything. They'll make a show of doing something. They'll speak to the person. They'll, and I'm not just saying girls, because it happens to boys too. It happens to guys too. It does. The myth that men don't get raped is a lie, and that men don't get attacked is a lie. They do. They just don't report it as much, because society and social stereotypes say that they're weak if they do, and that's not true. That's like saying a guy was weak for being attacked is like saying that a child is weak for being attacked. It's not their fault. They did nothing wrong. It just happens. And it's a horrible thing to have happen. And hiding it does severe damage to the victim. It makes them a victim constantly instead of a survivor. It makes things hard for them when things should not be that hard. They should be able to have a life. They should be able to get over, not get over, that's a bad word, don't say God, get over it. They should be able to move past what has happened to them. And without closure and justice, it makes things like that very hard to do. And I've seen it happen. I've met people, and I've seen friends go through this kind of hell, and they're just, nothing's been done, and they're dealing with so much after effect because of that, and that's wrong, but it's how it is. And the sad part is that it's become a norm, a normal everyday thing that's just accepted. You don't speak to the campus police. You just don't. It doesn't work. It doesn't happen. You don't do it. So, back to my fun living self. If you liked my video, go ahead and subscribe or like or comment. Sorry shit kind of got really real at the end of there, but it's a thing that needs to be talked about, and it's a college thing, and it's not just a college thing. It happens to everybody, or it happens to a lot of people. What I meant to say, so it needed to be said. What else? Thank you for my other 2 subscribers. I now have 4 subscribers instead of just 2. Yeah, so, if you want to tell your friends about it, go for it. do whatever. I'm still really boring and I'm really not an amusing human being. I talk about history a lot, I talk about college a lot, but that, that's the purpose of videos, is to talk about college life, as well as my blog, which I haven't posted on for a little bit because I've been on vacation and just decided to take a hiatus. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it today. If you have questions, leave them in the comments. If you want me to answer anything that you have, a question you have about college life or me or anything like that, go for it and ask me a question and I will answer your questions. Comments, all of that. Try not to be hateful and cruel. I know you like freedom of speech and all that, but just make an effort not to be angry, and wish me luck on my college life.